You're listening to Remember the Name, and it's Thursday. And now here's your host, Koivo. Hey guys, Koivo here. It's Thursday night, so it's time for another Remember the Name with me as your host. Now, the challenge this week is not really that difficult. Name your favorite game. Pretty much anyone who knows me knows this for a fact, and if you've checked out my channel, you've probably already got a few clues, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. My favorite game, character, and franchise of all time is still, to this day, Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, a lot of people will accuse me of being a purist when I say this, but pretty much my favorite Sonic game of all time is Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Sonic 3 and Knuckles is probably the biggest Sega Genesis game that was ever made, because it was made as one game that had to be separated into two games, but then they found a way to make it into one game. Now, each game separately is great. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, you run through the levels, you get the Chaos Emeralds, and when Sonic gets all 7 Chaos Emeralds, he turns into Super Sonic. Unlike a lot of games these days, where the Chaos Emeralds are made part of the storyline and turning into Super Sonic is part of the storyline, in the original Sonic games, finding the Chaos Emeralds and turning into Super Sonic was sort of like a bonus. It's like, if you look hard enough and you complete the special stages, which you don't have to do, then you get the Chaos Emeralds and you get this added bonus of Super Sonic, which was invincibility and super speed, which just made the game a lot easier or sometimes more difficult, especially in those hard to jump sections. And unlike a lot of sections today where it's really difficult, not because you have to be skilled, but because it's so hard to see what you're doing that if you make a mistake, you're screwed. In the original Sonic games, the puzzles were challenging, but you could see what you do and you could work out a pattern and you could figure out, okay, now I have to do this time and it'll work. And it would. So anyway, Sonic 3, you had your stages, you had your Chaos Emeralds, you had Super Sonic. With Sonic and Knuckles, we got introduced to Knuckles, who appeared in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, but he was basically just a little annoyance that was part of the story. In Sonic and Knuckles, you got to play Knuckles for the first time, and Knuckles was a bit like Tails, but he had his own unique moves. Like, he couldn't fly, but he could glide, so you could slowly fall, which was something that Sonic couldn't do. So if you were gliding the whole way, you could see things below you, and you could probably get special things that you would probably miss as Sonic because you were falling too fast. But the other option that Knuckles has is being able to climb, and that's basically where you glide into a wall and he sticks his fists into the wall and actually climbs up the wall. So you can access places that Sonic couldn't even dream of accessing. So that being said, those two games are fantastic. When you play Sonic and Knuckles, as Sonic, the whole point is to get off the floating island, defeat Knuckles, because he still thinks that you're a bad guy. Which is what we learn, that, Knuckles just thinks that Sonic's the bad guy, and he's just trying to be a hero. When you play as Knuckles, all you're trying to do is save your island, and that's pretty much where his story ends. When you're Sonic, once you get off the island, then you get onto the Death Egg, and that's where you take on Eggman in like a final epic battle. Now, if you manage to get all the 7 Chaos Emeralds in Sonic and Knuckles, you enter this extra level where you're actually chasing Eggman in space while he's launching all sorts of missiles and lasers at you, dodging asteroids, trying to stop him from getting away with this giant Master Emerald. And it is a fantastic battle that is absolutely awesome. So both games by themselves are awesome. But because it was originally designed to be one game, they made this connection with Sonic and Knuckles where if you connect Sonic 3 to Sonic and Knuckles, you get this extra game. It's basically the two games combined with extras. It's Sonic 3 and Knuckles. It's one of the best gaming experiences ever. You play from the beginning of Sonic and Sonic 3 all the way through to the end of Sonic and Knuckles. And unlike the first game where you could only play as Sonic or Sonic and Tails, in this game, you can play as Sonic, you can play as Sonic and Tails, you can play as Tails, and you can play as Knuckles. You can play as all these characters in a combination. The only one you can't play is Knuckles and Tails, but that's because they don't know each other yet. So, it doesn't make sense. But on top of all that, not only can you collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, but once you get into the Sonic and Knuckles part of the game, you see the scene where where all the characters enter Knuckles' Emerald Chamber, where the Chaos Emeralds are transformed into Super Emeralds, which unleashes like 7 new special stages. And when you complete these special stages, unlike the first games where only Sonic can transform, if you manage to get all 7 Chaos Emeralds and all 7 Super Emeralds, everyone gets a special transformation. Sonic goes from Super Sonic to Ultra Sonic, Or, no, hypersonic. Hypersonic, that's right. He goes from supersonic to hypersonic. He starts glowing rainbow colors. When he jumps, he has like a flash attack that makes him shoot forward. He has after images that follow him everywhere. It is an absolutely insane gaming experience. When you get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, nothing happens with Knuckles, but when you get the Super Emeralds, he turns to Hyper Knuckles, and when he smacks the ground, he creates earthquakes that destroys everything in sight. And Tails, when you get all 7 Emeralds and all Super Emeralds, turns into Super Tails, and you get these little bird things that will just lash out and attack things at random. And it just makes that game so much more amazing. And then when you finish it, I mean, the first time you play Sonic and 3 or Sonic and Knuckles, or even Sonic 3 and Knuckles, if you play that first, you go through and you're like, oh yeah, you know, it's a good game, but you sort of skip things because you just want to get to the end. You just want to see if you can beat it. But once you beat it, then it's like, now what about all that stuff I missed? How can I go back and collect it? And really, when you take the time to like explore the levels, it is amazing how much you can find. In fact, some places are really funny, some places are really silly, and then you go, what the was I doing here? So there is just so much to do all the time. So, you know, and again, you know, it gave me a love for Sonic, and when I saw the cartoon, I was just hooked. So that's why I'm such a big Sonic fanboy. And you know what? I know the games are declining, but one thing that they've always had and always probably will have is really great music. I friggin' love the music. The music is awesome. So, you know what? That's why I usually use a lot of Sonic music in a lot of things I do, because it just sounds so awesome. And look, you know, rambling on like this, I've already run out of time, but I've saved myself a little bit of time because I have one special thing left to do. Now, as you might remember, when I was on holidays, Crossfire and Kite decided to get together and do an episode in my honor, and couldn't you just feel the love? I mean, not me, I didn't feel any love for me at all, but couldn't you just feel the love between the two of them? They really do love each other, don't you think? In fact, I think it's possible that there might be something more. There might be a deeper attraction between them. Don't you feel that? Now, I'm not insinuating anything at all. I mean, that would just be rude and, well, prejudice. But, you know what? This is just my thoughts on it. If you were gay, that'd be okay. I mean, 'cause hey, I'd like you anyway. Because you see, if it were me, I would feel free to say that I was gay, but I'm not gay. No, I'm not saying you are, but you know what? I love you guys just the same, so no hard feelings. If you were queer, I'd still be here, year after year, because you're dear to me, and I know that you would accept me too. If I told you today, hey, guess what? I'm gay, but I'm not gay. I'm happy just being with you. So what should it matter to me what you do in bed with guys? I'm not saying that you do, though. If you were gay, I'd shout, hooray! And here I'll stay, but I won't get in your way. You can count on me to always be here every Thursday, 'cause this is my day. This is remember the name, and don't forget, it's in your DNA. You're gay! If you were gay.